Greetings fellow humans, I'm MartianBuu, and today's pocket video is on Gardevoir Mewtwo. This build is somewhat of a budget build because I didn't acquire a second Mewtwo yet, so in its place I was using a single copy of Jinx. Jinx has an interesting attack that punishes your opponent for attaching too many energies to the same Pokemon, and because it requires 2 energy, it goes really well with the Gardevoir. The general plan of this deck is to get out of Gardevoir as fast as possible, and use its ability to mitigate the downside of Mewtwo EX's side drive attack, which makes you discard 2 psychic energy. Between your regular attachment for the turn and the side shadow ability on Gardevoir, you can keep yourself using side drives over and over and over, one-shotting all of your opponent's Pokemon. Mewtwo EX actually one-shots most Pokemon in the game, but a popular Pokemon that it can't one-shot is Dragonite, so it uses Giovanni to hit that 160 damage breakpoint. Giovanni can also be helpful to allow Mewtwo's first attack, Psysphere, to one-shot the many 60 HP basics that are floating around in the game. I do think running 2 Mewtwo is better than running 1 Jinx, so as soon as I pulled my second Mewtwo EX, I cut the Jinx for it, but Jinx was a useful budget inclusion in the meantime. Overall, I think this is one of the more fun archetypes in Pokemon Pocket so far, just because it utilizes a stage 2 very well. I hope you enjoy the games, and thank you so much for watching. On the bright side, like, we're typically only going to be using 1 Mewtwo, right? It's still good to have the second one. Alright, no Ralts yet, but we have 4 outs to find it, and we have this in our hands. Bummer. Good luck, Froakie, you crazy kid. I tried to make Shelter work for a little while. Its attack is just too expensive. But yeah, the Cloyster is 2 water and a colorless for 70. Whew. And it takes -10 damage from opposing attacks. So I guess I don't have Misties, so I could Misty a Cloyster. That's a good point. I like those take less damage effects, but so many things just kill it anyway. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a bummer that they introduced the EXs right away, because I think the game was more fun when the power level was lower on average cards. Like, if there's too much one-shotting in Pokemon, you know, kind of like what you're saying, you lose out on some things. I think most things should be geared towards 2-shotting, and if something has a 1-shot ability, it should be hard to get out, hard to set up. You know, the IRL TCG is suffering from that real bad right now. Okay. How much HP does the Greninja have? I don't remember. Is it 120? If it's the 120, I should use this Giovanni. If it's not, then I shouldn't. Too lazy to look it up. I guess just do that. The game is releasing globally on the 30th. It's only in New Zealand right now. It does have 120. Alright, so if I Giovanni'd, I could have knocked this out still this time. But it's okay. Ow. Actually, it's not okay, right? I'm just gonna lose because of it. Well, I double potion it, and then I'm still dead. Alright, so it was a disaster. I should have Giovanni'd. Well, you hate to see it. Right after failing Wonder Pick Special Out Mewtwo, let's go. Like you got one out of a pack after failing to get a Mewtwo out of a Wonder Pick. And Wonder Pick is nice, but it's also incredibly tilting. Like, the Wonder Pick is nice because when you Wonder Pick, it's kind of like opening a pack, and you're much more likely to get something you want out of a Wonder Pick than out of a random pack. But, you know, a pack is who knows what's in there. So when you don't get anything you want, it feels a little bad, but it's not like you were expecting to get something you were wanting. You know, packs could be anything. When you pick a Wonder Pick and there's a card that you want in it, you expect to get that card, right? Like you know that you're only having a chance, but like, I commit to this Wonder Pick to get this card, and then it doesn't get it and you're disappointed, right? So I don't know, it feels worse than it is. It's a really nice feature. It gives you an extra easy way to get a card that you want, but because there's only a 20% chance that you'll get the card that you want out of it, you know, you end up feeling really stupid a lot of the time. Not to mention the Wonder Pick adds salt to the wound, showing you where stuff were. Oh yeah, that's true. It's like how you should have picked over here. How do you get to play this game early? If you have a spaceship like me, you just fly over to New Zealand and you're good. Get it? Lore accurate explanation. My opponent got too many heads on Misty, and now this game doesn't matter. Misty and Moltres, I think, are the two things really holding this game back from being, like, you know, the Moltres and Misty thing create high roll blowouts that otherwise don't exist in this game. That's what I'm getting at. So I think it's a little... Why didn't they just... No, they did attach an energy this turn to the active. Is that what happened? I was like really confused why they didn't just retreat and start hitting with the Lapras. But anyways, I think it's going to come up and deal, what is it, 90? It's a lot. But my friend Cloyster has a lot of retreat costs, so I'm not too worried about it, I guess. Anyways, so if they're testing with New Zealand and then they're going to release make some adjustments and then release the game, I think you would always change Moltres and Misty. I feel like they need to be different. Moltres just lower the amount of flips you get, and Misty make it so that it only targets specific Pokemon like the other gym leader cards do. They talked about minimum balance, which is great. I think that's great. I'm really happy about that. But minimal balance when it goes live is different from minimal balance before it goes live. You know what I mean? Like, now is a good time to change something if you want to maintain minimal, like a minimal balance philosophy. But because this is like the open beta almost, you know, I would much rather them change it now than have them release the game worldwide and then make changes. When Misty resolves, one person is sad no matter what. That type of thing, though, like, that's just the flippy nature of Pokemon generally. Like, I kind of expect that. Like, I think that's by design. They want it to be, like, very, you know... They want it to be, like, womp womp back and forths. You know what's really funny is I think I'm going to win this game. Right? Because the most they can do is 110 to the Mewtwo. And he is going to be out of range of that. My opponent got super lucky on all their Misties, and it's still gonna lose. I feel like if they'd promoted the Lapras sooner somehow, I wasn't paying enough attention to know if they misplayed or not, but if they promoted the Lapras earlier, I think I might have been toast. What do you think of Rhydon? A 100 damage single prizer seems decent. What is the... Does he require 3 fighting energy? Because that's a lot. Like, Brock, it lets you attach a fighting energy to things, but I think it's only Onyx and Golem. I would build a Brock Onyx deck if I had Brocks and Onyx. But, alas, I do not. Alright, it's time to win this video game, I guess. Why don't you get wrecked, Lapras? But yeah, so I think the flippy nature of Misty, where it's like sad for one player every time that happens, is intended, but I feel like it's like on a base level, but I think it's beyond the degree of acceptability, right? Like, you don't want something to be that wildly over when you play Misty on turn 1. There's a Ralts. And there's a Mewtwo. Alright, if we get a Kirlia, we're in business. Provided our opponent doesn't Misty into oblivion. Will they get 3 heads or will they get a tails? Find out right now. Alright, well, good for me. You love to see it. You love to see it. Also, when you see hand scope, you know that the opponent is only running... Well, no, they've still got... Why would you run hand scope if you're running the fossil version? Seems strange to me. Because, like, hand scope is good because you just need to fill your deck with non-Pokemon so you always start Articuno. But if you're running the Ammonite stuff, what's the benefit of that? I don't think there is any. Oh, hey, Kirlia. Alright, I can feel it, chat. This is the game. This is the game where we go nuts. We might even be able to get out 2 Gardevoir. Just like unnecessary, but yeah. I forget what the Amistar does. It might be something like your opponent can't attack on the next turn, but I forget. The potion would be wasted, right? Because we don't care about forcing them to attach the energy active. They want to do that anyway. So I'm just not going to use that. It's a shame we still don't have those like 2 Giovanni we had before. This always has to attach to the active, otherwise I would have put it on the... I would have otherwise put it on the Mewtwo. Oh, that's nice. At least it, like... means we're 2-shotting with Mewtwo's first attack. So we can save the energy? Does that matter? I don't think that matters. So that in mind, was I supposed to send up Ralts? Not sure. Not sure. Probably, right? And they're probably not Sabrina's killing the Gardevoir, so yeah, I guess I gloved up. Where'd that Amistar go? Oh, well, that was sweet of them. So yeah, you can take that. That'd be great. Enjoy it. That one for 40. It's pretty good. Okay, so now we set up this Mewtwo, which I don't know, I'm really confused. Why would that have been good for them? I see no reason why that would have been good for them. Okay, I think that I think they don't see it either. All right. Did you play the Pokemon card game on Game Boy? I did many times. Many times. It's one of my favorite games ever. Do I perhaps still have it? I have it on Switch, I have it on 3DS, and I think I have a real copy around somewhere. I'd have to hunt for it though. There's a mod that replaces the cards with Gen 2 cards. Oh, that's fun. I play Venusaur deck because it's all I can scrap together in fast tempo deck. Sure, pose threat to you. Yeah. I think... Yeah, I mean, a lot of the speed and power is disproportionately allocated to water and fire, and lightning. But yeah, I also want to build Venusaur. I'm one Venusaur EX short of being able to play that deck. All right, we're looking fairly set up here. I was playing just a Marowak EX deck for a while because that's all I had to work with. Aw, Tails. Did you get wrecked? Did you get wrecked, opponent? Texting my wife back really quick. All right. So if I attach here this turn to the Mewtwo, next turn I can attach to the Mewtwo again and just use the Gardevoir to put in energy on Jinx. And then if the Jinx dies, the Mewtwo's ready to go. The problem with that is then I can't attack with Jinx this turn, which I think is fine. So yeah, that's why I did that. What about Alakazam? Is he any good? In general, stage 2 attackers I think aren't great, with the exception of Charizard, because Charizard has a basic energy accelerator. So because like in Psychic, the energy accelerator is a stage 2, and running 2 stage 2s in a deck makes your deck pretty inconsistent. So wow, this worked out pretty well. I don't have to waste an attack into that Staryu. So anyways, the attack on the Alakazam is good, but it needs a way to power it up that doesn't require you to run a second stage 2 in your deck. All right, powering up that Jinx. Everything's going on schedule. I guess the unfortunate part of this is I have to use the second attack on Mewtwo to kill the Articuno, but it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, I don't think it matters. Because I just Gardevoir and attach again to the Mewtwo, so he only needs to take one more prize after he knocks out the Articuno. Oh. There you go, Yorkie. I can't wait to get a second Mewtwo. I think this deck plays fine with only the one. I can't decide if I'd want a Jinx if I didn't have a Mewtwo. Because the Jinx's attack is actually kind of cool. But I think I don't want to start with it. I want it to be like something I play once my opponent has sent up something big and scary. Anyways. The psychic attack noise sounds like somebody's rubbing a balloon, right? Has that like mildly uncomfortable screechy thing that comes with dragging your fingers on a balloon. Do I have a good Mew card? Mew's not in the game, right? I don't think Mew's in the game. Unless you mean in real life, in which case I have many. I have like many real good Mew cards. I have 3 Mewtwo's or even 4, but no Guardy. Someday trades will come. Someday. Opponent conceded. What if I wanted to rub my fingers on the balloon again? You get Mew if you complete the collection. Really? That's so stupid. Tell me that's not true. Is there really a hidden Mew card that you can only get once the collection's complete? Yeah, but it's a trash card? Oh, okay. As long as it's trash. Up against Giovanni. I like Pokemon from the Kanto region. I think it would be hard for me to pick a generation that was my favorite. I might default to Kanto also, but I also might default to Johto. I like Gen 1 and Gen 2 mostly, but I also really like future generations, what they do to the older ones sometimes. So like, you know, Gen 4 was really fun because they added a bunch of evolutions to stupid Pokemon that didn't have them, right? That was cool. I also like Bonsly and Lucario are from Gen 4, so I like Gen 4 a lot. Collateral Fish coming with the 28 months. Fish, thank you so much for stopping by and for subbing for 30 jillion years. I appreciate you. How are you? Hoenn is peak? Is Hoenn peak? I like the game more than I like the Pokemon designs for Hoenn. I think the water half of the Hoenn map does not deserve the reputation it has. I think the water half of the Gen 3 map was awesome. Just because like I like the Pokemon games that let you explore a lot, and there was a ton of things to explore and gather on that section of the map. And the Tentacool problem can be solved by using repels. But anyways, so I really liked Hoenn the game, but Hoenn I really like Metagross, I really like Salamence, and I like a lot of the Gen 3 designs. But they were the first one to kind of break away from the, you know, simplistic designs of Gen 1 and 2, which I think is part of the initial charm of Pokemon. So, not 100% on board with the Gen 3 Pokemon, necessarily. As far as picking my favorite Pokemon, like the going for a title that says, I like Pokemon from the such and such region, like I don't think I would pick Hoenn. Certainly wouldn't pick Black and White. Finally 28 years old in Martian years, yeah. Alright. Finally found the Mewtwo, which would be even nicer if we had finally found a Gardevoir. Your boy Vanillix, though, it's not the first time somebody has mentioned the ice cream Pokemon to me. It's so funny that so many people like that one. That was one of the first ones that I saw from that one where I was like, what were they even thinking? They've just run out of ideas, haven't they? I think the most eye roll I ever eye rolled at that type of thing, though, is Klefki. When I saw the Klefki one, I was like, really? Keys? Although I do like Klefki now. But we had to send up a sacrificial Ralts. It's not good. Oh no. I don't think we're winning this one. I don't think we're winning this one, chat. Man, is that Curly's attack 2 for 30? That is terrible. You're a big Gen 5 fan? A lot of people like Gen 5. That's the one game where I didn't like the gameplay and I didn't like the generation. Gen 5 is handily my least favorite from... Nah. Okay, so I liked the Pokemon of Gen 7, but I hated the game of Gen 7. So it's a tough pick, I guess. Because, like, Black and White gameplay, meh. Black and White Pokemon, meh. But, like, you know, in Alola Pokemon, and Alola game, whoa, you know, so it's so much worse. So, but I know Gen 5 is really popular, and I think one of the big reasons why Gen 5 is popular with so many people is because that's the first time that they really pushed a story narrative, and that's not why I play those games. I play those games for catching Pokemon and exploring. I don't go there to see a movie, you know? Like I'm not looking for there to be a lot of storytelling. So the whole game just felt very scripted to me. Like there was one path to follow and there wasn't a lot to do. Like there weren't areas where I could easily get lost and stuff like that. So I wouldn't call Black and White a bad game. I think it wasn't marketed to what I liked about the Pokemon games. Smudgy. I really like Gen 5's gameplay. It's easily my favorite story of the first like 8 games for certain. I haven't concluded if I like 5 or 9 story more. My favorites are probably Diamond, Pearl, and Black and White just because that's what I played as a kid. Fair enough. What gen is Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire? That's Gen 3. I don't mind story, and like there are games where I would like the story. I like, you know, the lore heaviness of World of Warcraft was the big reason why I liked that game. And, you know, so I can get into it. It's just, it came at the expense of gameplay for me. You know, like I want to be a nameless kid going around on a regular adventure, you know, like I don't want to be, you know, the hero that like stopped Team Plasma's world domination. I mean, like they do that in all the things anyway, but it always feels like a side plot, I guess. Like I want exploration and capturing Pokemon and beating like, you know, really exciting battles to be the focus of the game, and the story to be like subtle and in the background. That's my preference. So like in Gen 1, for example, there was like giant gaps where you would never encounter the story. You'd go like, you know, 2-3 entire cities where you either see none of Team Rocket, or you would have like one little tiny encounter right before a gym. You know, it was sprinkled in there, and then it had like big little instances later on that were separated from each other by more explore time. And then, you know, for the more exciting lore, like with the Mewtwo thing, you're in the burnt mansion, and you're mostly there to explore the burnt mansion. And as you're exploring the burnt mansion, you organically just come across these notes about the origins of Mewtwo, and like you get to piece them together, or you can just not read those things at all if you're not in the mood for it. So I like that type of explory, discover the lore gameplay. I don't like the, you know, the broad story to be the grand focus of the game in Pokemon. Just my preference. I also had a scent of competitive Pokemon in Gen 5, so probably some nostalgia there. Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's rude. Marshy, what do you think of Gen 9 exploration? There's basically no real notable location areas. I like it, not as much as, like, I want to get lost in dungeons and stuff. And there was some of that. I liked it. Not as much as Arceus. Arceus was like a huge step in the right direction for me. I loved Legends Arceus. Easily a top 3 Pokemon game for me ever. So there's that. But yeah, I liked the exploration of what is it, Gen 9? Have I tried out Copper Hunter yet? Ever? Yes. Is it recently good? Why did it take that long for them to figure out that fighting the Pokemon yourselves would be fun? Oh, I know, right? Like a big part of what made Legends Arceus so cool is you didn't necessarily have to battle a Pokemon. You could like trick it into looking the wrong way and hit it in the back with a Pokeball and like still get it that way. It's so cool. God, I love that game. It's so good. Can't wait for the next one. The one town in Legends was so much better than any city in Gen 9. You go to the gym leader and that's basically it. I don't think I've seen this Arcanine yet. The other one has 20 more HP and deals 20 more damage? Huh. I wonder if the base Arcanine is better. But I think at that point you just run the Scolipede instead. Wait, are they really just gonna let me get away with killing this Moltres? That's great. That's great for me. Guess there's no reason not to do this. I don't think they have anything in their deck that deals more damage for each energy. I didn't fully twig how bad the cities felt in Gen 9 until I had to look up how to evolve Charcadet, and I had to get an item from an NPC, and I realized I never spoke to any NPCs outside of the plot. Yeah, that started going wrong. And I think X and Y. X and Y, like, I loved X and Y for the most part. It was like a little more simplistic than I wanted as far as paths, and they did have a lot of like prominent story, but it wasn't shoved in my face as constantly as some of the other games. And I really liked the Mega Evolutions. I thought that was really cool. So I liked X and Y, but then you get to that one center city, and they were trying to do some cool like 3DS thing with it, but like you didn't walk around in the main city in X and Y the same way you walked around in any other zone. So you had to like get used to the controls, and it was all wonky and hard to look at, and I hated it. And ever since then, they've had like areas that are way too big and way too extravagant with nothing to do in them, right? It's not like a dungeon you can get lost in where you're like searching for cool items and stuff. You're just walking around, fighting nothing, just talking to every NPC, and 11 times out of 12 the NPC has nothing, like more than that, like 19 times out of 20 the NPC has nothing interesting to talk about. They don't have anything to give you. They don't have any hints for the rest of the game. There's no reason to talk to most NPCs in these big cities, but you want to go in there anyway and talk to all of them because some of them have cool items that they give you for free. But you also don't want to do it because the amount of time and investment it takes to talk to all these people is not worth the little bit you gain out of finding them sometimes, versus like a dungeon where you're like exploring and having fun and fighting Pokemon, trying to catch cool things, and then find the little one-offs over there. I have this interesting relationship with Gardevoir where I don't really care for the Pokemon itself, but for some reason its decks in the TCG are always some of my most favorite to play. Usually if I really like a deck from the Pokemon TCG, I will eventually really like the Pokemon, but for some reason Gardevoir I'm like eh. But Pokemon Pocket has been no exception. I really like the Gardevoir Mewtwo deck. I'm a big fan. I have a ton of Gardevoir decks to talk about from the paper card game, and I guess I'll start with the first one. Gardevoir EX is one of the earliest big archetypes from the Ruby Sapphire era. It had an attack that for 4 energy would deal 10 damage times the amount of energy attached to all Pokemon in play. So that was you and your opponent. That was really good because uncapped damage was still pretty premium at that point, but also Blaziken EX, which was the most popular deck at the time, had a psychic weakness. So Gardevoir EX existed as a counter to that deck. There was also a non-EX Gardevoir that went with it, who also had a power called Psy Shadow, which lets you search your deck for a psychic energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon, and deal 2 damage to it. So you would use the smaller Psy Shadow Gardevoir to power up the Gardevoir EX to deal big damage. There was also a holdover from a previous format. It eventually got reprinted too, but one of my favorite energy cards ever, Boost Energy, which is 3 energies, but you discard the card at the end of the turn and it can only be attached to an evolution. So that was a quick extra 30 damage, but also the Gardevoir EX's attack was 1 psychic, 3 colorless, so you could power one up out of nowhere using Psy Shadow and Boost Energy. So yeah, I played a lot of that deck when it was around. I have a lot of nice memories with that one, and I have a lot of nice memories with many other Gardevoir decks, so you can look forward to more Gardevoir stories in future Gardevoir Mewtwo videos because I know I'm going to play this deck a lot.